Today I want to briefly discuss my 3 favorite exercises for my low back pain patients, okay? So whenever we have low back pain patients, the first thing that we do during the exam is make sure that exercise is safe. And then after that, we identify what we call a directional preference. That's just a fancy way of saying that most of the time our patients have pain in one direction and actually feel better in the other. So during the exam, we might ask you to touch your toes and lean backwards. Most of our patients will say one of the directions feels good. So if you lean forward, there might be additional pain. And then when you lean backwards, it feels great. And vice versa is true with some of our patients. Some people say leaning forward feels good, it's a great stretch, and then leaning backwards hurts. So if it hurts leaning forward, we call that flexion when you're leaning forward. So we want to avoid flexion. So we want to give you anti-flexion exercises. So what that means is that we want to put you leaning backwards into extension. And then the other side of it, the other parallel or vice versa, again, same thing is true. If it hurts leaning backwards, we call that extension. We want to avoid those exercises and do anti-extension exercises. But whichever way, we're going to have 3 exercises. And the general idea is that we're trying to control your low back in 3 different planes, right? Or 3 different directions. We want to control side to side. We want to control rotation. And we want to control the flexion and the extension, okay? So let's talk about the first 2 really briefly, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into that last one, okay? So for controlling side to side, that's easy. That is a side plank, okay? So to do a side plank, you're actually just very simple, right? We're gonna get on our side. You can do it on your knees if you need to, or if you are able, we're gonna want you to go full plank, okay, or basically from the shoulders all the way down to the feet. It is one solid line. So you're gonna stack your feet, stack your knees and your hips, put pressure, hold your body weight with one hand, putting your other hand on your hip, and then push yourself up off of the ground, and you're gonna hold it here for 30 seconds. Now again, if you can't do this, we modify it, and you do that by curling up your feet underneath you, and now you're going to go up on your knees. And what we're doing here is we are controlling your lumbar and thoracic spine, your low back, going side to side. Again, 30 seconds, and then you're going to do the other side. So it's just going to be a simple switch to the other side, stack the feet, stack the knees, stack the hips, and we're going to push up, just like so, okay? That's the easy one. That's the side plank, okay? We have actually kind of recently changed our strategy for rotation of the lumbar spine lately. We might do something called like an anti-rotation hold or a Palov press. However, I find that doing something like a farmer's carry is far more fun, okay? So a farmer's carry or maybe a suitcase carry is very simple. We're going to, and I'm not going to be able to show it to you right now, but I'm going to explain it for you. Very simple. You find about 20 yards of freeway. For our office, it's all the way down the hall and then back. And what you're going to do is you're going to grab a kettlebell and you're going to hold it in one arm, right? Standing perfectly straight. You're going to walk nice and slow all the way down the hall. You're going to get to the end of the hall, a good 20 yards. You're going to switch arms and then walk back the other direction. Because as you're walking, you're actually going through rotation. But if you are holding onto a kettlebell in one hand and making sure that you're standing perfectly straight, you're actually controlling that rotation and keeping yourself nice and stable, right? So in the past, we did a lot of Palov press or anti-rotation holds. Here recently, we have really integrated the use of the farmer or suitcase carry for our anti-rotation, to control our anti-rotation, okay? So lastly, we need to control flexion and extension. And as I was saying at the beginning, this is going to depend on the pain or the directional preference that you have, okay? So if you have pain leaning backwards, so back into extension, we want to avoid that movement, okay? So I want to put you more into flexion, all right? One very simple way of doing that, and that's called the dead bug, okay? It's called the dead bug because it looks like a dead bug wriggling around on its back, okay? So do me a favor, if you're going to be doing this one at home, very simple. We line up on our back. There we go. Hands and knees directly straight up. And then you're going to alternate left leg and right arm out straight to touch to the ground. Back up. Left arm, right leg straight out to touch. And then back up. And then back to the beginning. Left leg, right arm. Back up. You're going to want to do both sides a good 10 times. Okay, and again, you can actually do all these exercises maybe a good 3 sets times 10. Okay? So that's for anti-extension, okay? If we have pain leaning backwards, you're going to be doing the farmer's carry, the side plank, and the dead bug. Now, if you have pain in flexion, we want to avoid that dead bug movement. So you're going to do these 3 exercises. Again, it's going to be the farmer's carry and the side plank. And instead of the dead bug, I want you to do the bird dog, okay? Why it's called the bird dog, I actually have no idea. But you go into tabletop, if you're thinking of like a yoga position, it's on your hands and your knees directly above your hips, arms shoulder width apart, directly below your shoulders, and then it's alternating the arms and the hands again. So you're going to do left leg out straight, right arm out straight, bring it back down nice and slow, a good 2 seconds out, 2 seconds back, left arm, right leg, and back down. And while you're doing this, you're trying to keep your low back and your back as flat as can be, like a table, okay? And that's why it's called tabletop. So back to the beginning. Right arm, left leg, back down. Left arm, right leg, back down. And the same thing is true for these. You're going to do 3 sets, 10 sides, or 10 times each side, okay? So again, if you have low back pain, all right, we have lots of patients with low back pain, obviously. The first 2 exercises are always the same. It's going to be the farmer's carry and the side plank. And then the third and final exercise is going to change depending on what direction you have the pain being the worst, right? So if you have pain more leaning forward, I want you doing the bird dog. If you have pain leaning backwards, that's typically when we introduce the dead bug, okay? Give those a whirl, try them out at home. Hopefully it helps. If not, call your local chiropractor, call your local physio, and get in for an eval, okay? So if you have any questions, send them my way, and always remember to live with passion, not pain.